I'm sorry,
That's how it is. It's the way it is.
Everywhere, all teenagers out at night.
It's a statistic show.
The police will stop them and look for knives. It doesn't
You are
matter what colour
8 times more likely to be stopped.
One of my best friends is a local bobby on
You're
the
not hearing me.
I am hearing you, but you feel you're
and now you're
unique.
getting defensive.
You are not unique.
You're still not hearing the point. You're not hearing the point.
I'm totally hearing the point. What I'd like to hear more is what you propose to do to actually change all this.
Oh, wait a minute.
Let's get on to that later. How are we going to change it? What will we do?
I'm so glad you asked that. I'm so glad you asked that.
I'm bored with this bit now. I'm ready for a tea break and I want to move on.
What you're doing is blaming the victim.
What victim?
What you're doing is blaming the victim.
You're saying, where's the victim?
You're saying to her, what are you going to do to change this?
What are you going to do?
She doesn't have the power to change this.
We?
No, you did not.
Did. No,
what
I'm
did
sorry,
she say?
You weren't listening.
What's actually going on here?
This is a lot what happens in society, where people are just in so much denial that they feel, well, you sort it out, it's your problem, when it's actually all of our problem.
I think the people who are actually learning a lot here is the people in the Brown group, because they're learning about how impenetrable this is for white people, for majority people, that they cannot get it. They cannot get this difference of perspective. It's really tough for them. They either don't want to accept there is discrimination, or they don't see the discrimination, or they don't understand what it is when they do see it.
Is to manipulate it.
As the disagreement escalates, one of the more cautious volunteers finally steps forward.
I don't think we are in denial. I think you want us desperately to be in denial, but most
Pearl, Stump. I have a daughter that lives, not with me, obviously, but she lives in a very middle-class area, a very rural area, and she is the only non-white in her school. I will not go and pick her up from school because of my belief of other parents' perceptions of my daughter because her father looks like I do. Now, you can frown as if to say, well, why? But the bottom line is, after 34 years of my life in this country, that's how I feel.
That's so sad.
And it's so...
Yeah?
I feel sad.
OK, now another reality of it, and ask any of my friends, is I talk in terms of I play the game. OK? If you speak to me on the phone, you will have zero idea of what I look like. You either conform, in which case you get an easy life, or you fight against it and you'll end up criminalised, outcast, and removed from the situation.
But Marvin, what you've said, I agree with, but it's not colour. You could be a skinhead and not want to pick your kid up from school. You can be a cockney.
The skinhead can let his hair grow. I'm talking wholly and exclusively based on the colour of my skin, nothing else. Just to qualify the thing about the school, part of the reason I don't go to the school is because, I mean, I'm mixed race, so I'm only half caste. My daughter has got a white mother, which means she's even lighter than me. Therefore, I believe that most, if not all, of the people at that school think she's white. If I turn up, then the children will see a different...
And treat her differently.
And again, it's not necessarily because these kids are ignorant, it's because these kids live in an environment that's wholly of white people. I chose to play the game.
That's right.
That's it.
We have to play the game. There is this game we have to play to get by.
Play the game as well. My ex-husband, for example, is in the sporting environment. He's taking on top-quality customers, the RAF, people like that. But he conforms. He has to wear a business suit. He has to wear a tie. He has to speak beautifully. He has his short back and side haircut. He looks immaculately groomed. He's actually a rugby player from way back. He's happy wearing sloppy old jumpers.
Is he white?
He used to have his hair longer.
Is he white?
We have to conform as well.
Is he white?
That's not
so,
conforming.
you're talking about conforming. He would conform to pick up my daughter from her school. He would not turn up looking like a scruff bag with long hair, bad clothes, bad breath, unwashed,
Yeah, but isn't that
bad
pride?
shoes.
Isn't that pride, though?
No, it's exactly the same. You're talking about your school environment with your daughter, my school environment with my daughter.
Would we all agree that it's not the same?
They would
It's
both
not the
still
same. It's not the same.
have to go night.
But-
It is. Sorry.
Yes.
Maybe
yes.
to a lesser degree.
Let's agree.
A lesser degree.
Let's agree to disagree.
But there was the assumption that racism is only particular for people who are black. And I don't actually agree with that. I think there's racism for white people just as much. I've been in this situation many times where I've had remarks made about my person, the fact that I'm white, that I'm blonde, that I'm getting old or whatever. I've come across just as much discrimination in my life as possibly many black people have.
But it's interesting now that the brown eye group are actually talking up. You know, the blue eyes were obviously saying, this is where I stand, I don't agree with this. And the brown eyes say, no, listen, these are the experiences that we have had, and making relation to what people are actually saying in the blue eye group.
So what do you think this tells us then about discrimination in Britain?
In Britain, you've got an establishment with power. And that establishment, people who are part of it, the rules, the laws that we have, are things that people take for granted as being fair. But they privilege a certain set of people more than everybody else. So it's not that we have one particular racial group that everybody's racist against. It's that there are many minority groups, all of which are disadvantaged by this system of power.
But you might walk away from this and say the white people in the blue-eyed group are just in denial.
I totally agree, because there's a sense of like, well, we're not racist and racism doesn't happen. Because the discourse now is that people are feeling, whether you're black, white, Asian, everyone feels they're being discriminated against. But what people are failing to recognise is the issue of power. And this is what Jane is trying to present, but they're not actually quite getting that right now.
But Jane Elliott is undeterred, and the segregation of the two groups continues during the food break. As the blues are kept together and fed basic sandwiches, the browns are given the freedom to enjoy a buffet.
And look what they're getting. Have you looked?
They're getting cordon bleu, we get a few sarnies.
This is where it takes the piss, actually.
It's not just the blues who are feeling hard done by. Over in the brown-eyed group, the black volunteers feel there is a lesson to be learnt. But one of the white volunteers doesn't think it's fair to label all whites as racist.
I'm getting drawn into something that I don't want to argue about, because I don't want to see other people abused.
But the thing
you are
is,
saying that just because
aware.
you are black, only black people experience racism. I grew up in a country full of people where there weren't any white people. I understand racism just like you understand racism. I don't have to be black to understand what it feels like to be a black person. You don't have to be white to... You can still empathise with people.
When we first started, most of the people in the blues were in complete denial.
And now?
And then some shifted, and some are still in,
maybe
and then some are still, some are like this.
Yeah, but
some have gotten up and walked out because they refuse to walk in our shoes for 2 hours.
It's being picked on, it's being bullied.
If you become
being a different...
you're closing yourself off to it.
Oh, that's rubbish. That's absolutely rubbish.
Now,
it just means it affects you.
Here's the way it is. The exercise is not over. Do you understand that? Because the blue-eyed people don't.
So there is more abuse to come if that's what you prefer to call it.
So I just want to have a glass. She wanted people to understand what black people were going through, but she didn't want to understand what anybody else was going through. I hate people putting other people down. It's wrong, and I don't like it. It's not about being black or white to me, and I think it was a bigger issue. It wasn't just about... She made it too simple. She was separating us. There were black people and there were white people, and that was, as far as she concerned, that's all it was.
Jane Elliott's beliefs and methods have always been controversial. Is this bullying? Or is her unpopular approach revealing there is more racism beneath the surface than we think?
Once you start thinking, oh, Everybody's looking at me. I'm different. Everybody's got it in
now, are they? There's nearly as many of them as us, so they're not different. Nobody, you know.
But in my class, 1/3 of my class are black children. Then I've got a bunch of half-caste children. I've got one little girl who's stunningly beautiful. She fell over, scraped all her face. I admit I was slightly surprised that where she scraped all her face, it's all pink underneath. Right? Did I expect it to be black? I don't know.
Wickes professional power tools are so durable, we're proud to give them a 5-year guarantee. It's got our name on it. Wickes.
Well, the problem is I like cake, but the only cake I like is chocolate. Chocolate's all I can think about. I love baking with Mum and Emma. That smell. It's like I'm eating it already. And I get to lick the chocolate off the spatula. Ooh, I love cake. Yummy.
Devil's Food Cake by Betty Crocker.
It's the SCS Strictly £10 sofa deal, and it's a perfect 10 for the gorgeous Dino. An absolute dream at only £10 a month. And another 10 for the real leather Ritz, sensational on the floor. And yes, it's just £10 a month for the stunning Leona. All with delivery for Christmas right now at SCS.
MoneySupermarket.com compares a huge range of products to save you money. And for people choosing their car insurance with MoneySupermarket.com, the average saving is £157. Sounds good to me!
This autumn, make your surprise guests smile with superb sausage and mash. Truly irresistible Hampshire breed pork sausages, reared outdoors on British farms. Served with fresh vegetables and British red potatoes that are just perfect for mashing. Feed 4 for £5 with delicious sausage and mash. Another great deal locally from the Cooperative. Good with food.
When you retire, how are you going to provide for you and yours? Aviva helps make pensions simple. Our online guide puts you back in control. So that's one less thing to worry about.
Oh, wow, having a baby?
Now you're a grown-up.
We need another one of them.
Do we have to eat raw food to eat less fat? Tefal invents ActiFry, revolutionary. With just 1 spoon of oil, cook 1 kilogram of real crispy chips with only 3% fat. Tefal, ideas you can't live without.
How old were we when we first started singing together? 12. And still we getting nowhere?
What you need is a break, and I'm here to give it to you. A guaranteed 10-week engagement on the road starting tomorrow morning at $400 a week.
This could be our big break.
Exactly what we feel like Jimmy to do for you, baby. There's got to be a better way for us to get our music to a broader audience.
I always sing lead.
Y'all gonna do what I tell you. Get back there.
Why, Curtis? You don't need me.
The network premiere. The Oscar-winning Dreamgirls, Sunday at 9 on 4.
So what you're saying is that everything that people of color say to you isn't true. It's their imagination. They're paranoid. They aren't paranoid. They know what's happening to them.
Throughout the day, Jane Elliott has divided the group by eye colour. But a bigger division has emerged between the white and black volunteers over what racism is.
Do you think this whole exercise is able to deal with the subtleties of racism in 2009? The racism that isn't in your face, that's under the surface, that you may not spot, you may not notice?
No, the point isn't to be subtle. The point is to be brutal and show the brutality of discrimination as it happens, not individual to individual, but system to person. So how people suffer as a result of an unfair system.
For Jane Elliott's final flourish, everyone will sit an intelligence test. But she's rigged it, so the blue eyes will fail.
Brown-eyed people, move your chairs back away from these people, because if they can see your papers, they'll cheat.
To guarantee this, she's already given the browns half the answers and told them to keep it quiet. For the first time, the blues offer no resistance.
Hopefully it makes them aware there's no way to win. They're in a lose-lose situation. And then eventually, they become resigned to the fact that they have no power. And it's just, might as well sit here and take it. There's nothing I can do about it.
But one white volunteer in the brown eyes is about to derail the test.
Whose test is this?
Hazel.
Hazel's. Where's your test?
Underneath.
Are you checking it at the same time?
No.
Why not?
Because why should I? Why do I have to? What's the relevance?
Let me make it relevant for you. This broad doesn't think she has to check her test.
We cheated on the test, so I don't see why we should be marking it. Well, you gave us the answers.
You didn't cheat on the test.
So why should I mark it when I know that you've cheated?
Wait just a damn minute. You can, as a white woman, prevent white people from learning for as long as you think you can get away with it. Has that fool learned anything yet?
She's preventing other people from learning as well.
She's working hard at it, isn't she?
Yeah.
With the final task thrown off course, the division between white and black surfaces once again.
Here was an opportunity to carry out an exercise and see how people reacted and learn from that. But instead, what we got was sabotage. In effect, of the situation. It's not.
Exactly what it is.
Clearly, I think we all understand that this is an exercise, and there were issues.
Now we will never know, will we?
This controlled environment is about racism, or is about being an underdog because of something you have no control over. Sometimes the system is stacked against you, and those in power may be operating in a way to put you in a disadvantaged position.
Jane Elliott brings her exercise to a close. After 10 hours of struggle, has the exercise revealed the reality of life in modern Britain is still very different for white and black people?
I'm 63 years old, and I've seen England change so much. You know, for me, it's so difficult because all of a sudden, you know, we've got this multiracial society. It wasn't there when I was a kid, when I was a teenager even. And my kids accept it. They're amazing. I'm the one that genuinely has a great difficulty with it. But I'm learning. And today, I think I've learned so much. Thank you.
For me, I didn't need to ever change my opinions. I walked in there as a person who feels very, very strongly about any form whatsoever of that kind of behaviour demonstrated by, whether it's one of my friends, one of the children in my class, whatever. I've always felt passionately about that. So I didn't need converting. And to be treated as if I was this pariah who was out there was unacceptable anyway. So I wouldn't pay lip service to her. And my comments at the end were more how disappointed I was.
I've been in occasions where people have you know, told a joke and everybody has laughed and nobody realised that that was a racist comment apart from me. So, you know, so you can be in a situation where, it goes completely over your head because it doesn't affect you. So because it doesn't affect you, it doesn't exist. And that's not the case. You've just not noticed.
Jane Elliott has said this will be the last time she does her exercise on this scale. Having watched the twists and turns all